It's 2024. The gap between the haves and the have-nots, private and public, the rich and the rest of us, continues to widen.
Dying's no problem nowadays. Living's a bleeding problem.
I'm Darren McGarvey, hip-hop artist and author. I've written about power and poverty, about growing up on a Glasgow council estate, and I've campaigned on class and inequality my whole life. This idea that people standing up against it might lead to businesses failing. No, I'm not finished, mate. The economics fail. Today, the headlines are dominated by stories about the state of our public services, health, education and justice.
We think there is like an immediate concern for their safety.
The NHS is dealing with industrial action on a scale unseen.
Shouldn't be like this. There shouldn't be patients up the side, either side.
It's an absolute shit show. In education, the attainment gap between the wealthiest and the poorest pupils has barely changed in years.
Lots of families are struggling. We're trying to do whatever we can to just help.
And a creaking justice system is failing both victim and criminal.
Kids are going out with knives and weapons to protect themselves.
In this series, with frontline access to our hospitals,
we don't actually have enough room.
You want to take that?
Oh, yeah, you don't mind, thank you.
No, not at all.
schools.
We empower our kids and we say your voice is just as important as anybody else's.
And prisons. Probably know something in here. Hell, how you doing, wee man? I'll be exploring just what can be done about the state we're in. Where you go to school says a lot about you. And in the UK, where the attainment gap between the richest and poorest children has barely changed in 10 years, your school also impacts your exam results, your job prospects, and your life opportunities.
One thing the school does well, though, is it does give people, like, so many opportunities.
But what does this gap actually look like for the pupils and teachers? And how can it be bridged? With privileged access to classrooms across the country, from hallowed halls once walked by King Charles to game-changing state schools, I'll look at the state of education in 21st century Britain, and I'll travel to Finland to see what we could learn from one of the best school systems in the world. And you don't brag? You don't brag?
Top job for making it.
Good morning. It's 6:45 in the morning. We are all gathered here to set off on a morning run, which is a great way to start the day.
Let's do it.
This is Gordonston, one of the UK's most famous boarding schools. It boasts no less than King Charles himself as a former pupil. With most pupils living on school grounds, this morning run, although voluntary, is a pretty normal sight.
Slow down a bit. Goodness me, a steady pace.
That's what I was thinking.
The students here are some of the 7% of UK school children who attend a fee-paying school. Statistics show that these teenagers will likely go on to hold some of the most powerful and influential jobs in the country. I want to understand what it is about private education that projects pupils to the front of the race. And more importantly, I want to know what state schools can do to bridge the gap.
Hi, Rory. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. Yourself?
Lovely. I'm great, thanks. I'm just going to go and get some breakfast.
Okay.
But I just didn't want to be wandering around.
Yeah. So each day it changes, so have sausages, bacon, eggs.
Lovely.
You have your pastries, that also changes every day. So yesterday, for example, we had pain chocolats.
Do you guys like to eat big then, because you have a long day?
Yeah, definitely.
Makes sense. You just help yourself, yeah? Okay, thank you. How many eggs do you think this is? I say 2.
With a roll call littered with royalty, Gordonston's credentials are clear as day. But with a hefty price tag of up to £45,000 a year, what exactly do you get for your money? They've got the facilities, that's undeniable. Sports centre, studio theatre, 200 acres of land. But what about the academics? I'm joining a Year 9 geography class, roughly ages 13 to 14, at the Cliffs, just a short drive from the school.
What have we got down here? These aren't sandstones, so what's this?
Metamorphic.
Well, it could, but I think it's igneous. Because if you go about an hour away, where have you been on Expo? Okay, Cairngorms, a lot of this stuff has been brought by glaciers and dumped, or it's been brought by rivers and dumped. And remember I talked
Lessons like this aren't unusual for pupils at Gordonston. Classes are often grounded in outdoor experiences. It's actually a founding principle of the school. So I want to know if they realise how lucky they are.
How does it feel, say you're in a maths lesson or something, but you know you've got something like this you can get out to at some point?
It allows you to like feel free. It's not kept in. It gives you something to look forward to.
Like it can almost help you concentrate, because then you know that then soon you'll be going outside, so that you don't need to really be stressed out.
It's like you know you can ration your full attention and your full effort because it's for a short, sharp period of time until you get to chill a bit.
Studying is just a small section of life at Gordonston. Around 85% of pupils here are boarders, eating, sleeping and living 24/7 on school grounds. Teacher Dan McLean is responsible for pupil welfare in one of the 8 boarding houses.
Hello, come in.
And has offered to give me a tour.
So this is the main hall, and this is the main hub of the house, really. It's where the house meetings are every evening at the beginning of prep, so any announcements.
Prep is when they're getting their homework done?
Yes, so they've got an hour and a half to 2 hours, depending on how old they are, every night. So they will have a tutor that's allocated to them, helps more with the academic side of things as well.
And that's just like, it gives you a real sense of all of the little ingredients that sort of culminate in the outcomes that you see from this school, even just that extra tuition.
Yeah, the educational day in the broader sense is right up to bedtime. Yeah, so after that, as you'll see later on, there are things like the gym and climbing and all sorts of things on offer around the school.
I'll admit that I'm slightly surprised by how understated and normal everything looks.
So this is one of the sixth form rooms. So this belonged to one of the Year 13 boys who's finished his A-levels and has left school. It's a reasonable size, and it's a private space. You know, it's somewhere for them to make themselves at home within reason, but somewhere quiet to work, a bit of privacy as well to sleep. So, yeah, and again, it shows a bit of the character and the history of the building.
Even in my short time here, I've become aware of how every minute is put to use at Gordonston.
Tea or coffee?
I'll take a tea.
Despite being almost 9 p.m, as Dan and I sit down for a much-needed cup of tea, pupils are just beginning their evening activities.
One shot, come on. Come on, you get that, you get that.
As a sociology teacher, you must be seeing a lot of theories and claims made in various academic literature and books being validated in front of your eyes in terms of, you know, the links between affluence and educational outcomes and all of that sort of stuff. How do you reconcile that?
You're absolutely right, and I think that it is bad that people are deprived of it. I think it's terrible that it costs so much, but that's not a reason to not provide it for as many people as we can. And so broadening that admissions process, making it accessible to as many people as possible is what we've got to concentrate on.
It's almost as if it's like you need to level up the state system. It just feels like we need to kind of recategorise what the minimum standard of education is.
I mean, I think a lot of it comes down to that overarching educational philosophy of what is education for? If we just teach people these are the skills you're going to need in your life, then you're already making judgments about who that person is, what you think they're capable of, and therefore you're limiting their future career, and it's going to be based on preconceptions of class, of geography, of gender, and that breadth of education that we can give somewhere like here, that opens doors. And I don't mean in the social class sort of way, I mean in terms of the flexibility that's built in.
And that's the crux. Those fees paid by parents are channeled straight into fulfilling each pupil's individual talent and interest. Case in point, this evening, the school will be putting on Macbeth in the school's on-site theatre. The title role was previously played by King Charles during his time at Gordonston, so there's quite a legacy to live up to. Not least because after this evening, the pupils will be performing the play at the Edinburgh Fringe.
Methought I heard a voice.
Angus and Theo play the leads.
Glamis hath murdered sleep, and Cordell shall sleep no more. Macbeth shall sleep no more!
Why did you bring the dagger from the place? It must lie there. Go. Carry it. Smear the sleeping grooms with blood.
I'll go no more.
Just imagine you're on the red carpet somewhere, right? After the big show, right? And I'm an annoying journalist. It's just like, how does it feel?
Pretty amazing. I always like performing. I find it's just absolutely fantastic to get out there and be able to entertain.
The feeling's incredible.
I was going through lots of emotions today, I'm not gonna lie. But as I was watching the show, there was parts of it that were kind of bittersweet for me. And it was bittersweet because, see, when I was your age, I wanted to be an actor. And it was just, there was no way to do it. As soon as I came out of school, it was just like, bleh, nothing.
We're so privileged for having what we are. I mean, I'm on an all-rounder scholarship, and it's because of that that I've managed to, be in Macbeth. I've got Gold DFV, I'm going off tomorrow, the day after, and then I'm off to Iceland because of, because my scholarship has made me able to take all those opportunities.
It's the same.
So the thing for me is that when you're talking about going to the Fringe, that was the thing that broke the immersion for me of this place. Because I was like, what do you mean you're going to the Fringe? You're like 12. I never got to the Fringe until I was 35, right? And it's the removal of every obstacle that stands in the way of you just focusing on the one thing that you want to do. And I think that's really the difference with the social mobility, isn't it?
Yeah. One thing the school does well is it does give people so many opportunities.
Yeah.
It's so good if someone finds out about it and comes and has an interview and the school decides to admit them, it does everything in its power to allow them to attend.
Yeah.
My time at Gordonston has been an immersive and at times overpowering experience, challenging my preconceptions about independent schools, the type of people who go there and the attitudes that they hold.
Normally I just do these reflective pieces straight after I visit a place, but I needed some time just to process what happened. What I realised is that Gordonston School is not a school, it's a village where everyone there, from the principal right down to the cafeteria staff, are all pulling in the same direction, and that is whatever direction is best for the child. So what's actually being taught in the classroom is perhaps the least important thing. The big advantage that kids in Gordonston have is a highly networked way of working. And that means that once a kid identifies what they want to do in life or some talent or aptitude, they can be direct lined straight into that career pathway. So ultimately, the kids who go there get a priority pass. They get a Q skip years and years in advance of most other kids into whatever career they like. And that's the thing I think that we really need to work on, evening out.
As I step out of the Gordonston bubble, I want to turn to state schools where the other 93% of children are educated.
At 1, it's thought to be the biggest day of industrial action across the UK in more than a decade.
We've all seen the headlines. It's been a rough ride for them lately. Industrial action dogged much of 2023 with unions demanding better paying conditions. And although UK education has devolved, meaning the systems are different across the 4 nations, many of the challenges are the same. Thousands of teachers have left the profession, citing stress, anxiety and depression. And the buildings are quite literally falling down. This is Usco Nantgwyn in the Rhondda Valley. Whilst the countryside is every bit the equal to Gordonston's, the scenario is somewhat different. According to the Welsh Government, this area has one of the highest levels of children living in deprivation in Wales. So what's it like running a state school here? And what happens when you chuck in a global pandemic and a cost of living crisis?
Just catching the view from up here.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
So you can see just over there we've got Penrhys, and then the valley curves around then down towards our next village of Porth. Really is a beautiful, beautiful landscape, isn't it?
Yeah.
Ryan Evans is the school's deputy head teacher.
The cost of living crisis has impacted on every community. The more external factors that change, such as increases in mortgage interest, where we've got utility bills continuing to rise, that is where families genuinely do feel the pinch. So there can genuinely be a choice between putting the heating on with the expense of utility bills and putting a meal on the table. And unfortunately, families face those conditions.
There are people out there who quite simply don't believe that children are going to school with empty stomachs. What do you say to those people?
I'd say, come into a school, see the excellent work that we are doing to be able to infill, because without that excellent work, we would have pupils coming into school with empty stomachs. You know, we would have pupils that don't have access to winter clothing during the winter. And it's a very real issue that we are facing. But we've got to be a shining light in terms of being able to support families that need that level of support.
The pressure on families has now increased to such an extent that more than 1 in 5 state schools provide food banks. Nantgwyn opened their community pantry during COVID, and it's still running today.
Right, you lead the way.
Ben is one of the pantry's regular volunteers.
So, we'll be restocking today. These are local donations made from people of the communities.
Cool. I mean, it's a lot more like modern and equipped than I had in my mind. I don't know where I have this image of a pantry from, but it certainly wasn't one that had like electricity and refrigerators in it.
Yeah, I mean, it's very advanced. We've really put a lot of work into creating this pantry. You know, all the staff, all the students working here. It's really been tough, but you know, we've managed to accomplish it. It's good.
Okay, well, let's get it stocked up then.
Yeah.
Like, what I'm going to do is get the tins up and then I'm going to sort them, which is probably not the most efficient way to do it, but...
Oh, no, you're good.
What are the most popular items?
Kind of, you know, ready-made meals you can do in the microwave, that kind of thing. Also tin food, as you can see, we've got plenty of that. People donate all food they can, just to help in any way, which is really helpful.
I hear also there is clothing support available.
Yeah.
Is that's obviously going to be something that other people are
Yes,
affected?
there are clothing donated as well. Spare uniforms is probably the most popular one at the moment. You know, the basic things like, you know, trousers, shirts, ties, that kind of thing. People who have maybe grown out of it, you know, they all donate it to the school. And, you know, people can come and pick it up and, yeah.
I don't know how things are now, but I remember when I was young, there was a lot of stigma around, you know, being seen to not have enough money, not have the right clothes, or eating certain foods, or having, like, we used to have dinner tickets.
I think most people are thankful and grateful that it's here, because obviously some people are going to need it. You know, they won't admit it, and they might be embarrassed to admit it, and they'll kind of say, oh no, but we don't need that. But overall, I think the opinion on the community pantry in our school is pretty good.
I can smell that it's lunchtime happening somewhere in the school. Have I got permission to finish my shift here?
Yeah, of course you have. You've done a brilliant job.
Oh,
Thank you.
OK, thank you.
Feeding and clothing pupils now seems like a fundamental part of what many state schools need to offer, as is mental health support, something even more pressing for children growing up around debt, who are 5 times more likely to be unhappy than those from wealthier families. Nantgwyn runs Safe Haven, a regular mental health and wellbeing group for pupils. I'm meeting attendees Lily and Brooke.
OK, we'll begin with a maths question. If I finished school in 2001, how many years have I been out of school?
No, if I finished in 2001. But no, finished what in 2001 now? 2023. But all school.
Done.
Don't think what's...
It's hard, isn't it, when you're under pressure?
But it's nearly 23.
The point I'm trying to make is that it seems as if school was a lot different from when I was at school. So you guys come to this Safe Haven group. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Well, there's many different things in Safe Haven. Like, there's obviously the LGBTQ community like group. There's obviously like the counselling, which is what I like do, because basically I like went through stuff before and I always went to Miss Jones about it, but then they were like, why not go see a counsellor, see how it works. I had a meeting with my mother and Assie, because I was like proper refusing to do it, because I'm not kind of the person who likes to express like my feelings, like. But then once I got into it, the person I had, we had all the same interests, so it was much easier to bond with her.
Even just that, just being able to say you're not the sort of person who is comfortable expressing feelings, that's quite an expressive thing to say, you know, don't you think?
Yeah.
So what about you? What was your experience first time?
Well, I was really nervous at first. I didn't know if it was for me, because I think anyone does when you first do it. But I'm quite glad I done it. My mother used to go to the school, but they never really had anything for her. But when obviously I say about the school has like the Safe Haven groups and all the stuff they do for us is quite different. It's changed massively since she was here. It was only like 10 years ago, don't mind.
What I find fascinating as well, so much of what we've been talking about today generally is not even touching what you're actually being educated here. It's all of that other stuff that's connected with being in a strong mental place to be able to learn.
I think it's good to feel safe in the place you go to be able to actually learn properly.
Yeah, I think you feel a lot more comfortable in what you're doing and what you're learning if you feel safe with the teacher and you like and you've got a good relationship with them.
So you wouldn't respond positively to being belted or anything like that then, no?
Probably not, no.
I think we'd end up a little bit back, wouldn't we?
Your teacher over there is just sitting with his head in his hands. He's just like, oh, dearie me.
So you're keeping that bit in there or no?
Across the UK, state schools like Nantwyn provide an education that is far from deprived.
We see improvements in terms of acknowledging the importance of support for mental health. We see a whole new lexicon emerging around diversity and inclusion. This all has to be commended, and school being a place that meets the needs of children, not just educationally, but emotionally and psychologically, is brilliant. But I can't deny I'm alarmed by the backslide that is obviously occurring in terms of these prior needs that need to be met before children can even become teachable. We never grew up rich, but we didn't go to school hungry. We didn't go to school without the right jackets. And that, for me, is indicative of disadvantage that is festering in the education system at this level.
Across all 4 nations, efforts have been made to address inequality through grants like the Pupil Premium, which gives schools extra funding for disadvantaged pupils. But given that the attainment gap persists nonetheless, perhaps we need to look elsewhere for inspiration on how to achieve equality. So I've come to Finland, where the education system is ranked as one of the best in the world by PISA, the international ranking system, and where equality is a principle rather than a platitude. This is Puista Polku Comprehensive School in the outskirts of Helsinki, where 11-year-old Siri has offered to show me around.
Good morning, Siri.
Yeah, good morning. Hi.
I'm Darren.
I'm Siri. So this is our school playground where you can usually do whatever you want.
I noticed nobody is wearing a school uniform.
Yeah, we don't have school uniforms here. So you can wear whatever you want to school.
Interesting.
People often argue that uniforms can be a great leveller, but here they view them as a potential barrier to equality. Although it has dipped in recent years, Finland still sits in the top tier of PISA rankings for attainment in reading, maths and science.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
The children start school at the age of 7 here. By comparison, the UK sends its kids off to school at 4 or 5.
Okay, so we normally take our shoes off because this is a shoeless school.
Right. I'll allow that.
Let's go. Okay. So this is our classroom.
Okay. I'm just about fit in here.
Siri is in grade 6 of what the Finns call basic education. Currently aged 11, she will stay with the same classmates and same teacher until she moves into upper secondary at 16.
Sieltä löytyy liittymiskoodi.
muistatte, miten mennään sinne Minecraftiin? Jos te teette Darrenin kanssa kahdestaan, niin Okei.
My son will be thrilled by the idea of people using Minecraft in a school. Are your classmates on this same world?
Yeah, every one of these people is my classmates.
Right, okay.
Okei, nyt kuuntele. Eli sieltä talon sisältä löytyy ohjeet, sieltä löytyy ne ryhmäjaot ja kaikki, eli lue ohjeet, mitä
basically we have to look at these rules on the boards, and we have to build a house.
And that clap, what does that mean?
Everyone has to be quiet so that he can explain what we have to do.
Yeah, I remember teachers shouting a lot.
Yeah, but here they don't shout a lot.
How do you refer to your teacher? What do you call your teacher?
We just call him by his first name.
That's really interesting.
It's way simpler if you just call them by their first name.
Do you know anything about the education systems in the UK? Have you heard anything about them?
Well, I do know that the school lunches aren't free here. And they have school uniforms, which we don't have.
Siri, how you doing?
I'm doing good.
Ah, nice. Can you show your house, your groups? Okay. Have you put your favorite food there?
Right here.
Okay.
Can I ask a question?
Of course.
As a teacher, how much freedom do you have to plan lessons, to use things like Minecraft, for example, as tools in the classroom?
Yeah, I have big freedom. Nobody says what to do. There's curriculum, what says themes, and after that everything is my decision.
Do you feel respected as a teacher?
Yeah. I'm really proud to be a teacher, and I feel respected from kids, my pupils. I really do, and of course parents and my co-teachers. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And you work with the same children for consecutive years?
Yeah, I started with these kids at third grade, and I'm here 4 years, so from third till sixth grade. It helps a lot. I know where we are heading and where we are today, so it's easy to plan for each kid what they need, and easy to help and support.
In the UK, every year, published in all of the newspapers are performance league tables of the best schools and the worst schools. Do you have that in Finland?
We don't have that kind of thing in Finland. We don't make school listings. For myself, I wouldn't like that.
Why not?
Because this is not school giving education for kids. It's not a competition. We try to make it equal here. They get material from school. They get pencil and books and everything for free. And it doesn't show here. They are at the same level in Finland.
Mm. What I'm realising is there are so many things in the education systems in Britain that create tension or create a sense of difference or create a barrier that you have just removed. The teacher being referred to with a sort of reverence, the idea of uniforms, the idea of some children paying for meals.
It's quite different.
And you don't brag? You don't brag? Where are they going?
To the bathroom.
They didn't ask to go?
When they were younger, they used to ask.
They can just go to the bathroom whenever they need to?
Yeah. And they come back.
Mind blowing. It's crazy. How deep does this rabbit hole go?
With morning classes over, Siri mercifully shows me to the lunch hall. Every child in Finland is entitled to a free meal until they leave at 18. For reference, in the UK, there are no universal free meal programmes for secondary school children.
Do you know what is on the menu today?
Like we don't get to know beforehand.
Oh,
so,
a little surprise.
Yeah, so we have to like go and see. And there are like, every day there's like vegan days where it's only like vegetarian food. But like normal days there's like a meat and like vegetarian option.
Wow. Where are the vending machines full of caffeinated energy drinks?
There's no vending machines.
No vending machines? What is this? Right, I'm interested to know what this is. I don't know what it is, but it tastes lovely. I see staff sitting with pupils at dinner, at lunch.
Yeah, the teachers actually like sit with the students because they want to like ensure that the students are like eating enough food, and like if someone goes to like eat alone, the teacher will like come next to them and like talk during lunch.
Really good.
When you're done eating, we have to like pick our trays up and like they get like washed right after.
I used to do that as a job in a private school, and the kids were very cheeky.
Yeah.
As my thoughts turn to home, I can't help but compare education across the UK with what I've seen here.
What do we see here in Finland? We see a determined effort to remove any barriers that flag up inequalities. How is this possible? It's possible because Finland has a philosophy about the sort of country that it wants to be. And so all of the public services, the system of taxation, the rules, the conventions, they all cohere around that one vision. And that vision is that they want to be an eco-society, not for some kind of platitude, but because they recognise that that is a benefit to everyone in this society. And so while I'm inspired, I'm also really struggling to see how you transpose that onto what we have in the UK.
But we've got to start somewhere. Research shows that by the time children start school, those from poorer backgrounds are more than 4 months behind their wealthier peers, which means inequality begins way before kids enter the classroom.
Hiya! Are we okay?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah? You're starting to grow now.
I know.
In 2021, a government report stated that the first 1,001 days of a child's life form the foundation for success in school. Some funding was provided for family hubs, support centres which, like the Sure Start scheme before them, focus on bridging the attainment gap by addressing the cognitive, social and emotional needs in early years. I've come to Armthorpe, a former mining village in North Yorkshire, to see firsthand what this means.
It's getting, you know, like I say, it's hard getting out of the house anyway, isn't it? And organising everything.
Yeah, we were saying at the beginning about how splitting time between them, and I was saying to, you know, even if it's just 10 minutes with her.
Yeah, it's still important to make sure you have that time with just you.
This is a first friends group. Through play and stimulation, as well as practical and emotional advice, parents are helped to form crucial attachments with their babies. And it's these attachments that have a direct influence on early development and educational outcomes.
Hello. So how long have you been coming here?
I came with my first little one. She's 2.5 now.
Yeah.
And I think if you want for some of these, especially with my first, if you want for this class, I think it would have took me a bit longer to get out because you've got the anxiety. But that if you get out, you come out and you're seeing somebody, it breaks your day up. And I think with it being, you break the day up and you're socialising, it kind of like reviews you mentally, like you feel more, like you say, more present. And,
The first thing that you notice is how content all of the babies are when they have the undivided attention of a parent. The minute that the kids are just lying down, rattling something, eye contact, physical touch, the baby couldn't be happier. Happy baby. That's the key to everything.
The hubs also provide a support network for parents, helping to reduce the impact of stress and anxiety on a child's development.
What is it that you like about the Family Hub?
They really helped with any questions that you had prior to the baby being born, and if you were nervous about breastfeeding, which I didn't have a clue. I was like, if you're saying your milk comes in after 5 days, what on earth does the baby eat for 5 days? And then it sounds like a stupid question, but they explained everything to you, which was really good. So yes, they do really good stuff to come and speak to other people. When you're sat at home going, is there something wrong? Why is he crying? Why isn't he sleeping? And you come and speak to 3 people who are all doing the same thing, you go, oh, I've just got a baby.
Yeah,
that's all I've
it's
got.
easy to forget, isn't it?
I've got a poorly baby or a naughty baby. I've just got a baby.
Yeah, you feel like you're being persecuted by the baby, don't you? Until you find out this is just what they do.
Yes, yeah. So, yeah, this one's for mummy.
There's so much. There's gone everywhere.
As of 2022, family hubs run in 75 local authorities in England, and similar schemes operate in all the home nations. Bridging the attainment gap needs to start long before a child reaches the classroom.
When it comes to creating an environment that's conducive to the optimal development of a child, there are lots of external factors, isn't there? What sort of insight do you have into some of the things that people face today trying to raise children in a community like this?
I think it's a really difficult time for all families, to be honest. Historically, we've always talked about those that are on low incomes, but actually that kind of pressure and that push is being felt across the board. As well, what we're recognising is a lot of our children after the pandemic are not developmentally where they should be because they've missed out on those socialisation opportunities.
Do you feel that it's understood how essential a service is like this?
I think one of the biggest challenges that we're always going to have with something like this is evidencing the impact that it has, because it's really tricky to evidence how you prevented something from happening or how something's not got to a point of crisis.
Yeah.
If you look at the way the programmes in here are structured, then you'll see that they're all evidence-based, firmly rooted in our scientific understanding of the neurological development of the child and how to best support that. It's all about a baby becoming securely attached, because this really helps to set off the chain reaction right along the developmental trajectory.
Any steps to reduce early years inequality are welcome, but it continues to rear its head in primary school, where currently fewer than half of disadvantaged children reach the expected level of attainment. Which is why I've come to a primary school that approaches teaching in a completely different way. This is St Martin's Primary in the Sighthill area of Glasgow. Although it's undergone significant regeneration, it's an area with some of the highest levels of deprivation in Scotland. Many of the children are also refugees or asylum seekers. Over 70% do not have English as their first language.
Good morning. So,
this
is Darren. This
Hello,
is
how are you?
Catherine. Miss Francis.
Nice to meet you.
St Martin's uses the theory of playful learning in all its classes. Traditional tables and chairs are gone, and instead pupils learn through play and exploration. As I arrive, the children are taking part in free play.
So we've been learning about the rainbow fish, so then they got quite interested about under the sea. And the rainbow fish has scales that reflect and shine. So then we kind of did this based on where they were leading us with their learning and where they wanted to go.
Although their teacher interacts with them, pupils are in charge of what they want to do. Research has identified positive outcomes for play learning and language and early numeracy and literacy.
Look really closely. We use our magnifying glasses to look really closely.
It's shells.
You see shells? What else do we see?
What are we building here? Right, okay, probably going to have to adjust this. There's lots of interesting things here, aren't there?
The children then move on to guided play. Today, Catherine is teaching them some basic numeracy skills.
So, boys and girls, when I say go, you are going to work with your partner, Aidan, when I say go, to make 10. Are we ready? Off we go. Using our materials first to make 10. And then we can write on the board when we are finished. All right, you pop it down on the carpet and you show me.
And you're using different colours? Right, okay, I understand now.
So what have we got here?
7 plus 3.
7 plus 3. Well done, Phoebe.
7.
Well done, Callum.
Brilliant.
5.
So as much as we're doing numeracy, they're also turn-taking and knowing how to take care of resources as well. Using all these concrete materials in different ways of showing it really solidifies and deepens the understanding of it.
And it must, for you as a teacher, you get to be creative in terms of devising a plan for lessons because you're not confined by a traditional, this is your workbook, do your sums, tick it off.
Absolutely. I love, see the way we do it like this. If they're not sure, if maybe one of them has made a mistake, they're very quick to, to support each other. Instead of maybe if you were at a table or they were all sitting at desks, they might sit and maybe not mention that they're struggling or not sure about something.
Because they're not allowed to talk.
Yeah, whereas here, they're constantly talking. They're talking with me, I'm moving around, and if we have support in, they're moving around. So it's not a case of, they're never really afraid to ask for help then.
One of the bushes. Planted it. Did it grow? Yeah.
This is a great example of the role of play in an area of education like numeracy. So rather than the kids all sitting separate individual at tables in a race to complete the answers in silence, the lesson's been devised where they still attain the skill of the numeracy that they're shooting for, but they do that in collaboration. They're allowed to talk, that they share, they listen, they support each other.
Play-based approaches have been around for a while in the form of schools like Montessori and Steiner, but it is now viewed as integral to all curricula in the UK. However, its use varies across council areas and across individual schools. St Martin's is run by head teacher Donna Mackay.
As soon as I walked in the door here today, I could feel that something was different.
The approach that we have through the playful pedagogy smooths that transition from nursery, where it's all been about play. It makes that transition easier, because if you're not delivering educational experiences that suit the child, then behaviour becomes an issue, disengagement becomes an issue, and children will often be happier to be considered a poorly behaved child than somebody who's not clever. And the wonderful thing about play is that it captures intelligence in a different way.
Oh, wow. You're higher than me, Jose.
What are some of the forces out with the school environment that are shaping the needs of the children?
The school that we are in has 92% SIMD 1 and 2. So SIMD is the social index of multiple deprivation, and 1 and 2 is the highest level within that. So we're talking about the people who live within the postcode that is considered to be the poorest within Scotland. That can be generational unemployment, high levels of addictions, offending behaviour, all of these things that we would consider to be adverse childhood experiences. And so play is a gentler way of addressing those social developmental needs.
I just felt myself getting a bit emotional there, because really what I'm getting from this is knowing that there are so many kids now who are going to get an opportunity that previously wouldn't have, because they would have been seen as badly behaved, or lazy, or just stupid. We were working in a prison last week, and there's boys literally who went in my school shouting, McGarvey, out of the cells. And for them, the journey to that prison cell started in a classroom where their needs either weren't identified or the resources weren't there to meet those needs, and so the teacher only had the traditional option of discipline exclusion.
And you have to understand that all behaviour is communication. And so that child is often behaving because they're overwhelmed, or they're hungry, or they're traumatised, or they're scared. We need to be much more compassionate. Our schools need to be compassionate places.
Leaving St Martin's, I couldn't help but wonder where some of the kids I'd gone to school with would be if they'd had an education like this. I'm beginning to realise that it's only by addressing all the needs of a child, social, emotional and academic, that we can begin to bridge the attainment gap. I've come to one of the most deprived areas in Yorkshire, to XP. A state school that combines Gordonston's ethos of outdoor learning with a strong focus on nurturing kind and compassionate pupils. This is Crewe. It may look like the average morning registration.
Right, morning everyone. We'll just do registers. Josh.
Here.
Imogen. Here. Charlie.
But it's clear very quickly that this is about much more than taking the register.
So, thought for our check-in this morning, I'm going to ask you to say something that you really like about the person to your right. So I'm going to say something about Raf, and I think he always shows integrity, tells the truth.
I think Josh is very respectful and he's got good manners.
I think Charlie's got a lot of courage, like speaking out in sessions and everything.
Like Brian's integrity. He's like, if he does something wrong, he holds his hand up and says that he has.
I like your shoes.
It says a lot about my personality.
So I've put up on the TV at the moment for us so we can all see our last 7 days worth of praises. I wonder if anyone's willing to explain to Darren what this is. It's Charlie.
It's like the greens you praises. If you do good in session or like help around or anything like that, you'll get a praise logged on. And then the red is the conduct, so like if obviously you're naughty or you mess around. So I'm in the red right now, which isn't very good.
Brilliant. So we'll have a look through some of these, and these are just for the last 7 days. So Josh, at the moment, you're breaking even, 0-0. Robert's in the green. Charlie, let's see what those praises and conducts are. So volunteering to read aloud from the Shakespeare text. So well done on that. You make an excellent Juliet. So we've got a couple of conducts. Eating in lesson. So what could we do as a crew to make this a bit easier for Charlie to meet the pledge not to be eating in lesson? Imogen, thank you, Josh, and Sam. So you need to let me know, okay? If you see Charlie eating in lesson, let me know before I'm reading it on here as well.
So this group stays the same irrespective of what subjects you're doing or what, you know, this is something that's always a constant through the whole process?
Every morning we meet like this, every day.
What do you feel are the benefits of that to you guys?
I don't know how to explain it. It was just like normal school compared to this, because you come here and it's like, well, everyone does this very differently. It took a bit of getting used to, but it was better for me being here.
And do you know why it was better for you? Have you got any kind of guesses or why you prefer this type of school?
Like, the way of learning is different. Like, it's just like they seem to care. It's like they care about each individual person.
It is something that's quite unique, I think, to our school crew, but it underpins everything that we do. So it underpins every day. We meet every day like this. Sometimes we raise things or we disagree with things that are quite difficult to talk about.
It's just like you all come together and help each other out.
Yeah, and we've got each other's backs, haven't we?
Yeah.
Already, XP and its foregrounding of character and relationships feels different to other schools, and this follows through into the teaching.
I'm Liv.
Liv, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
I'm Caitlin.
Caitlin, I'm Darren, good to see you.
Yes, you too.
Lead the way.
Yes, so we'll start downstairs.
Yeah?
Yeah.
15-year-old Liv and Caitlin are in Year 11 and have offered to explain XP's expedition-led approach, which replaces traditional single-subject lessons.
With expeditions, you have a guiding question that you answer at the end of it. So some expeditions might be history and English-based, and then separated with another expedition for like maths and science and that, or sometimes they can be completely combined.
Can you give me some examples of what that means? So say it was an expedition, but you were thinking about maths, you know?
Yeah, so we did one last year where we were learning about social housing and everything like that. And in art, we were creating these model houses. I don't know if you saw them upstairs. And in maths, we were actually learning how to use scale. So we could easily make these and scale it down from real size to little mini ones so we can make sure it was proportionally correct. So that's just one example.
And with GCSE content as well, when you get into like part of Year 9, Year 10 and Year 11, they actually base the expeditions around what you need to learn for your GCSEs.
So what is the process for getting selected for this school? Because obviously it's very highly coveted, isn't it?
Yes, so it can be quite difficult to get into the school. There's only 50 places in each year, so there's 25 in each class. And the people that do come here, the majority of them actually realise how lucky they are to be in this school.
Yeah.
In other schools, you're kind of just subject to wearing the same uniform. Everyone looks the same, everyone has to act the same. You can't show any sense of self, and it really hinders people trying to figure out who they are as people.
Yeah.
Because some people will say, well, what are they going on to do, though? What are the actual outcomes? Where are these young people going in life? How are they prepared for careers, dealing with responsibility?
Well, in this school, what they tend to do is they tend to prepare you for the working world. They don't just prepare you for exams, they prepare you for, you know what, this is what life is going to be like. You need to realise that now before you go out there into that community and realise, actually, I'm a 16-year-old that's just finished high school and I've got no idea what to do with myself.
Liv and Caitlin possess a confidence that reminds me of the pupils I met at Gordonston at the beginning of my journey. So how did this state school manage to harness the sort of qualities that often come with a hefty price tag? To find out, I'm sitting down with Andy and Gwyn, the self-styled punks who created XP in 2014.
We empower our kids, and we say your voice is just as important as anybody else's. Regardless of your class, your race, your gender, whatever, your voice is just as valid.
And I guess, not to put too fine a point on it, you're talking about children hailing from traditionally working class backgrounds who have a different onslaught of circumstances to contend with as they try to make their way through traditional education. But just to be clear, you're operating within the same funding and curricular frameworks as every other school in England.
Absolutely.
Exactly. Yeah, we're an academy, so we get the same money. Yeah, same rules.
We really focus on developing our kids' kindness to themselves, kindness to each other, kindness to the community, and also to the world around them. We did a bit of research on the correlation between how kind the kids were and their academic performance. We found the kinder the kids were, the better they did academically.
Yeah, what has interested me is there are a lot of fascinating parallels between what I've observed so far here in terms of the educational culture and a very kind of famous private school like Gordonston. Does that surprise you that I'm drawing that parallel?
Well, not really, because the guy who created Gordonston, Kurt Hahn, created Outward Bound, and Outward Bound went all across the world. So that connection with Kurt Hahn and ourselves is still there. So
that's all just kind of written into the DNA of this way of doing things?
Absolutely is, yeah. I mean, this is really a powerful message with students who sometimes don't have privileged starts in life. But the quote from Hahn, "There is more in us than we know. If only we could be made to see it, then perhaps we wouldn't settle for anything less," is a really powerful statement for our kids, because we're all about equity here as well.
School's also a reflection of the society that we want to live in. So we want to live in a society where our young adults are empowered to clean up the mess that we've made.
Well, we say we're punks, not hippies.
Yeah, and it's an important distinction.
Before I leave XP, I've been told that Beth, one of the Year 11s, is taking part in a ceremony called Final Word. It's something that every pupil does before they leave the school.
So I see that you've got a kind of maybe an audience filing in just now.
Yeah.
So what is it that's happening here this morning?
Basically, it's like the checkout of XP. So you say your bit and then you leave, but it's just like an opportunity to say thank you to the school, thank you to your teachers, people who have helped you grow.
Okay, and you've got a kind of personal connection to the school as well, don't you?
Yeah. My dad created the school along with Gwyn at Parry, so...
So he's bought a box of Kleenex with him then. I'm sure it's going to be super emotional for him.
Yeah, I mean, I'm the one who's brought the tissues, but I'll be handing them out.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, good luck. Looking forward to it. There we go. That's the sign. It's time to stop.
Yeah. Right, hello everyone. Welcome to my final word.
It's lovely to see you all here. You know, you all mean a lot to me. So yeah, let's get going. So, what have you learned from your time at XP? So, sorry. Okay. I've learned that the most important thing in this world is to be kind to others and to never hide your character away. I couldn't have imagined what I've achieved in my academic success, my beautiful work and my character growth. Okay, appreciations. Right, we've got to straighten up for this one. Right, okay, I'll just go around. Dad, just thank you for everything, really. Do you know what I mean? Like, I know you've been my teacher and that's been amazing, but thank you for creating this beautiful school as well. Thank you. Right, whoa. Okay, we're going again.
I feel really honoured that you've invited me today, but to see you as the young woman you are and the young woman you're going to become, you're going to go on and change the world, Beth. You know, you've got everything there, so just go on and take it, it's yours. Well done.
Anyone else want a tissue?
XP exemplifies what happens when you take the most radical, innovative teaching techniques and you implement them. Pupils and teachers here are every bit as confident and empowered as their private school counterpart.
And I think that it really shows the difference that can be made, not just in terms of the academic outcomes, which are up to standard here, but also the sort of people that are created as a result of that education. In every other area of life, particularly commerce, when we find a better way of doing things, we implement that very quickly. It would be good to see that same innovative spirit implemented in the education system itself.
To be honest, if a child reaching their fullest potential was as simple as them having a talented, committed and passionate teacher, then the state of education across the UK would be nothing to worry about.
High five, that was super.
But in reality,
the true determinants of a child's educational outcomes often lie beyond the classroom and the economic status of their parents. In my view, it's in our collective refusal to concede the truth that levelling the playing field will require fundamental economic reform driven by a coherent vision of a fairer society that we muddle on, unable to see the inferior educational offer made to less well-off kids for what it truly is, the primary guarantor of Britain's shameful class inequality. And so, meritocracy is the lie we tell ourselves to account for why the four nations are dominated by privately educated professionals. But as I've said before, if all the best people are in all the top jobs, why is this country such a bin fire?
What's my problem? I don't know, I need to fix it. Never honest, always bollocks if I'm drinking.
Can early intervention in education alter outcomes for the rest of our lives? To find out more and to watch my exclusive interview with the Open University, go to
bbc.co.uk/Darren McGarvey and follow the links to the Open University.
What's my problem? I don't know, I need to fix it. Never honest, always bollocks if I'm drinking. Empty wallet, empty promises of quitting. What's the point, man? I'm just young and I'm still living. What's my problem? I don't know, I need to fix it. Never honest, always bollocks if I'm drinking. Empty wallet, empty promises of quitting.